What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my Season 3 predictions for Better Call Saul. So just the general predictions on where I think each character story arc is going for this season. The thing is with Better Call Saul is there's really no main storyline that weaves all of the seasons together. It's more character story arcs. Each main character has an individual story arc that they go through in each season, which kind of carries over into the next season. So I'll touch on those a tiny little bit, what happened to them in past seasons, just so you understand where my theory is going for the season 3 prediction. Okay. First off, I want to address the flash forward or the present day scenes that happen at the beginning and end of every season. They're in black and white. So while I can't say exactly what I think is going to happen this season's black and white scene, what I have noticed is each one is a reflection of the main idea of what Jimmy's going through each season. So in season 1, they're just showing his mundane life working as spoiler alert, this whole video. Sorry, I'm going to spoil the shit out of both seasons and maybe some Breaking Bad. So we follow like his mundane, boring life as the manager of a Cinnabon in Omaha, Nebraska, I guess, right? So then the season 1 story arc is about how bored Jimmy is living the legit life. So that's why he starts to kind of teeter with the idea of cutting corners and doing things the Slippin' Jimmy way. He doesn't really quite go there in season 1, but you can see how it parallels his black and white scene. Season 2, he locks himself in the garbage room. And season 2 is all about him feeling locked in and trapped by I guess you would call it the conformity of working legit in the law firm. So season 2 is kind of about him trying to escape that situation, just as in the black and white scene, he's trying to escape the garbage room. So I'm sure that the black and white scene will reflect what's the main idea of Jimmy's storyline in season 3. Now, I didn't even think about all the other character story arcs and if they relate to the black and white Jimmy scenes as well. Maybe I'll do that in a further video, once I figure that out. All right, so now let's get it. So where do I see it going? Honestly, I think those black and white present day scenes are leading up to one of two things. Either a bad ending for Jimmy, but maybe not, because Breaking Bad had kind of a bad end. But if you think about it, Breaking Bad's end was kind of good in a way, because Walt went out on his own terms. He accomplished all the goals he set out to accomplish in season 1. And like I said, he went out on his own terms, and he was happy in those final moments. So maybe it's not a sad or bad ending for Breaking Bad. But it's either going to be like a sad ending, like Saul dying or going to jail, or it's going to be a happy ending. And the only happy ending I can see happening is him either being reunited with Chuck, but I don't see that happening because I'm going to assume that that Chuck is dead going through Breaking Bad. I don't know, but there's no mention of him. So either they're totally torn or Chuck is, passed away. So I doubt he's going to reunite with Chuck, but I can see him maybe somehow reuniting with Kim. As far as a happy ending goes, I don't really know. But I have a feeling that it's all leading up to the ending of Saul's story arc at post Breaking Bad. Right. I'm sure you all saw that coming. Anyway, that's not a big revelation. All right. So now the individual story arcs. Saul. So the first season, he's like, watch my other two Better Call Saul videos too, and I'll probably explain things a little bit better because I don't want to take too long in this video and re-explain things I've already done. But I'll do it the best I can as quick as I can. So in seasons 1 and 2, it's really about Saul finding, trying to go legit, and then finding out that he's just not comfortable in that life. He wants to kind of do both. He wants to live that lifestyle of a legit lawyer, but he wants to cut corners to get things done because that's just who he is, and it's the most effective way that he works, right? So he's a hella smart guy. You learn that in Better Call Saul. In Breaking Bad, Jimmy comes across as kind of goofy, and maybe that it's just his connections that gets him through everything and not so much that he's a smart guy. But Better Call Saul actually shows you that he is a smart guy. Saul is really a smart dude. He's super smart if you see the plans and stuff that he hatches out and the way they work out for him and the way he gets himself out of situations. It's not much unlike Walt, where he uses his brain to get himself out of these situations. He may not be as extreme as Walt, blowing shit up and running people over with cars, but you get my point. Is he's thinking his way out of these situations and then acting upon them accordingly. So he's a really smart guy, and I see that the con man side. Like every season, he seems to be becoming more and more of Saul and less of Jimmy. Or I should say more and more of Slippin' Jimmy and less of regular Jimmy, right? Lawyer Jimmy. So I'm sure in season 3 it's going to be more about him using his brain in that con man, cunning way to cut corners. But he's going to go even more extreme this season than he was last season, because last season was even more extreme than season 1. So you can only see him spiraling more and more out of control. Because remember, the end result has got to be the Saul Goodman we know from Breaking Bad. And he's definitely not there yet. So season 3, I definitely think it's going to spin out some more on his storyline, in where he's becoming more and more Saul, more and more con man, and less lawyer. I'm sure he's going to get hooked up with the cartel this season. Maybe he won't get hooked up with them this season, but they're going to come into play in his world more than just Nacho and Tuco, where I think it's going to be now that Mike is going to somehow involve Saul or suck Saul into, I keep calling him Saul, he's really Jimmy on this show, but Mike is gonna suck Jimmy in somehow, maybe not purposefully, into the whole cartel thing, and that's how Saul is gonna get hooked up with a lot of the people we see that he knows from Breaking Bad. Fring is definitely showing up. I'll get to him in a second though. So that's where I see Saul going. He's definitely gonna become more and more con man. Him and Chuck, I think, are going to become more and more rivals. They're going to, because the way season 2 ends, oh my God, I love that last scene of Chuck recording Jimmy and Jimmy talking all that shit. Oh, it was awesome. And I can't wait to see how they're going to play that out. How they're going to get Jimmy out of that situation, or how they're going to flip it around, because they're going to. It's not going to be as cut and dry as it may seem. So Chuck and Jimmy are definitely going to start to go more head to head and become more and more rivals. I definitely feel like that 100 million percent. All right, so let's move on. Kim, she's doing her own thing as far as a lawyer goes, and who knows how her storyline is going to play out. It's interesting the way they're playing her whole thing out. I loved her story arc in season 2. Not so much in season 1. She didn't really have a big arc in season 1, but she definitely does in season 2. And I think there's going to be some turmoil between her and Jimmy's relationship, because that's always fun. Who knows what kind of turmoil, but I can see her and Howard hooking up somehow, and that really hurting Jimmy. So I'm sure that'll play out eventually. But I don't think that'll be for this season. This season, I just think there's going to be tension between them, because she doesn't like that Jimmy breaks the law and cuts corners. She's really against it. And I think that's going to start to drive a wedge in them, that Jimmy can't help himself but be a con man, and Kim just not being able to deal with it. So I think it's going to be pretty much that, and then her dealing with her new law firm. And the trials and tribulations that have to do with that. And who knows, she may even become adversaries with Howard and Chuck somehow this season, like with a certain law case or something. I can see that happening. That Kim, not only Jimmy going up against Howard and Chuck, but more of Kim going up against them too. There was a little bit of that in season 2, but not much. Now, as far as Chuck goes, like I said, I pretty much see him spiraling more and more out of control, becoming more and more against and aggressive towards Jimmy. And like I said, I think him and Jimmy are going to go really, really at it hardcore head to head. But I definitely think he's going to spiral more and more out of control. And I see the series ultimately ending with Chuck dying or ending up in a mental hospital or something like that. I can see Jimmy committing him at the end, like, a final screw you from a now Saul Goodman Jimmy in the end. I can see that. All right, Mike, one of the best storylines of the show, not just because it's action packed, but and tense and full of that crime and violence you love from the world of Breaking Bad, but because Mike is just so gangster. He's such a great character. Everything about him, his demeanor, the way he carries himself, the way he handles shit, the way he gets shit done. You gotta respect Mike to be like, in his 60s, 70s, and be that much of a tough guy and be that intimidating. Amazing. Jonathan Banks is such a good actor. I'll always say that. The whole cast on this show is amazing. I can't gush over them enough on how amazing the writing and the acting is on this show. I'll say it again and again just to make sure you guys are watching it. So Mike, he's definitely going to get hooked up with Gus this season. Gus is obviously the one that left that note. It's a total Gus move, or one word, don't. And stopping somebody from doing something they regret, but then trying to recruit that person to his cause. He kind of did the same thing to Walt. So I can totally see, Walt and Jesse. I can totally see Gus doing that. Stopping Mike from doing something foolish and then recruiting him to take out the cartel, which we know that Mike and Gus do, and Jesse, in season 4. So that's going to be really exciting just to see that build up. I can't wait to see Gus. He's such a great character too. Maybe we'll get a little bit more of his backstory. We got a little bit from Breaking Bad, but maybe we'll get some more of his backstory and how he grew Pollo Hermanos and how he really became like the meth king of Albuquerque. So that's going to be really exciting. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more of Gus and the cartel people like the twins and Hector. They're always fun. These guys are always fun characters. They're not too over the top. And you gotta love it. So I see Mike getting hooked up with Fring and going more and more bad, because I think now Mike has realized that you can't play the middle. You gotta pick a side. Either you're good or you're bad. You can't do bad things and still try and be the hero. It's either you're all in or you're not. And I think Mike is going to make that choice this season to go all in, just so he can get the money to leave Kaylee and forgot his daughter-in-law's name, but his daughter-in-law. And maybe we'll even get some more of Mike's backstory. I'd love that. I love the backstory we got so far with the whole thing with his son and the corrupt cops and what he did to the dudes that killed his son. Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Great writing. This show is amazing. It's just as good as Breaking Bad. It may not be as exciting yet, and it may not be as I don't know how to say it, episode craving, to where you're craving the next episode. It's better binged than it is week to week. And I remember Breaking Bad at a point right around season 3, actually, where I could not wait till the next episode to air. That was a total worth it week to week show. And this show really hasn't been for season 1. I found season 2 way more tolerable week to week. Hopefully season 3 picks up the pace more, which I'm totally convinced that they will. So we'll get a faster pace season 3. Real quick before I end the video, on the predictions, I think I touched on all the main characters. Yes, I did. Cameos. I think we may get a Hank cameo this season. I'm really hoping for that. It won't be with Saul and it wouldn't be with Mike either, because they don't know each other. So maybe we won't get a Hank. But I would love a Hank cameo. I'm not even going to ask for a Walter Jesse. I know that's reaching, and it probably wouldn't work in the context of the show anyway. Maybe Jesse, but definitely not Walt. But I'm sure we'll get some more fun cameos. I don't know who else there is left than to throw in. There's not too many people outside of the White family and extended family that they could really throw in. I guess Badger and Skinny Pete and them. I guess some of the meth heads. But keep your eye out for more familiar locations and more familiar people in season 3. All right, I went on long enough. Thank you guys for listening to me ramble. Chime in down below on your predictions and whether or not you like the video or whatever, and what you hope to see from season 3. And I can't wait. I'm super excited. This show has only gotten better with the 2 seasons that are out, so I expect this season to be even better. Even if it is a slow start like the other 2 are, I'm willing to give it a shot and go all the way to the 10th episode with it. So those are my predictions. I'm excited for it. Like I said, you guys chime in down below. Let me know what you think. And thank you guys again for watching. You guys have a great night, and I will see you next time.